Aloha women helping women entrepreneurs. My name is Marina and I'm an intuitive business mentor. I work with a variety of individuals, helping them in their business when nothing else has worked, specifically service-based individuals such as other coaches, healers, also worked with birth doulas, real estate brokers and agents, contractors for that matter. So I specialize in helping people get sales after nothing else has worked, after they have gone through the traditional business coaching as well as the intuitive business coaching. One of the things that I take in my approach is I combine intuitive and strategic facets in everything that I do in all aspects of my work. So today I am here to talk to you about the 6 most common sales call objections for service-based entrepreneurs that you might experience. This can potentially work for some of the product-based entrepreneurs as well, but this is more geared towards those of you who are in the service-based industry. However, stick around because you may learn something anyway. This is going to be a very quick crash course. I have posted in the link above a link to my mini course that is $149, where I go through this in a lot more detail with each objection one by one and teach you a sales call flow that allows me to have an 88% conversion rate with all of my prospects, and how to navigate these objections without being sleazy, without being manipulative, and with being there for the person. So as you're popping on, please say hi. The objections that I'm going to cover are: I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I have to ask my husband, or wife for that matter, I have to ask my spirit guides, and will this work for me? And the other one is I'm choosing to work with someone else, or I am currently working with somebody else, because that's also an objection. So how many of you have heard these objections on your sales calls before? Please go ahead, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I would love this for this to be interactive. If you have any kind of questions, if you need anything clarified about how to handle these objections in a non-manipulative, non-sleazy way, please feel free to ask. For the sake of time, I am going to go ahead and start hammering away. But please go ahead and say hello in the comments. I love getting to know where everybody's watching from. I am actually currently in Maui. I live in Maui half the year, and I live in Colorado half the other year. So without further ado, the first one that I'm going to cover the first thing that I want to cover, when it comes to objections, objections are just as much about the prospect as they are about you. So if you are experiencing objections on sales calls, it's a really great opportunity to take a look at where you, in your own world, in your offers, as well as in your own emotional, relational well-being, are not aligned. So as I'm going through these objections one by one, I will refer to it as how to handle it within the prospect, and what are some of the things that you need to take a look at within yourself if you're getting these objections on sales calls. Because as I mentioned, I combine energy work and intuitive insight in everything that I do. So a lot of times objections and our prospects, our clients, are mirrors of where we need to evolve as business owners and as humans. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and start with the time objection of individuals that say, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for your offer. What does that actually mean? Either that, or they might say, like, I'll do this later. I'll go ahead and do it later, but later never happens, and then you're chasing them forever. Usually when people say later, or whenever people say later, either on a sales call or in messenger conversation, they usually never get around to it, right? How many of you have heard the later objection on your sales calls, whether it would be for a product or for a service? I'll buy this later. Or if you're a service-based entrepreneur, such as a coach or a healer, accountant, website designer, you might be hearing, later. I don't have time for this right now. I don't have the bandwidth. I'll just later, right? How many of you have heard this objection? The biggest thing about the individuals that say later, it's such a common, really, really common pattern in our human societal conditioning, right? Where whenever we don't want to deal with something, whenever something is pressing, we're just like, no, I'll just push it away. The other thing that happens when it comes to this objection is this individual has probably been denying themselves love, right? How many times have you personally put something off for later, but it never actually ends up happening whenever you say, I'll do this later, right? Where is it for you personally that you have broken these promises to yourself when you're like, I'll do this later? And this a lot of times stems from our childhood, whenever our parents would be like, yeah, you know what, great, that's awesome, I'll buy you your toy later, just come to dinner, wash your hands. And the later never happened, and we never got our promises met. So this is an individual who is actually denying themselves the opportunity to experience the things that they desire. Is this making sense to those of you that are watching this? Let me know if you have heard this objection. So one of the ways that you can handle this objection, if you are in a transformational based, service-based industry, such as a coach or a healer, an energy worker, you can utilize this opportunity to coach the individual to become a better business owner, to become a better human, by actually addressing this pattern and saying, okay, I understand. Let's take a look at that. You know, what is it that you'd like to think about? What is it that you want to do later that cannot be done now? Right? Why don't we go ahead and look at that together? So whenever you start to bring that up, it allows the individual to then open up if they choose to. If you are a coach or a healer, or if you do work in a transformational based field, whenever an individual says later, you can go ahead and take this as an opportunity to see how they will be as a client for you. If you are more in a done-for-you type of a service, such as website designer or accountant, or if you're selling products, one of the things that you can mention, if you really believe in the value of your product, if it's like a health-based product, if it's like a supplement, if it's like a course, like a pre-recorded course even, if you really believe in the value of it, you can go ahead and still take this opportunity to say, you know, do you find that a lot of times like time is passing you by? Do you find that a lot of times you are always just kind of feeling like behind on things, right? Instead of giving yourself the opportunity to live life in the moment. Have you ever had the opportunity to jump on something where you feel like, you know what, this is the right thing for me? And then whenever you put it off, that opportunity never actually has come again. So this is one of the ways that you could handle it, especially, like I said, if you're in a service-based field. The other thing you can go ahead and say, if you really want to go there, is how is this latering showing up for you? If you want to get a little more, not pushy, but a little more forward with it, you can state something along the lines of, where do you see yourself, later? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? If this kind of pattern does not break for you, if you continuously delay or put things off. You can also be joking and kind of frank with them and be like, do you find yourself procrastinating a lot? How has that served you in your business? Especially, say for instance, if you're selling them a service that's more of a done for you, like an organizational service or a software or something, you can really say, so your current sales goals are not being met because this kind of pattern has been showing up. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I'm just getting texted. This kind of pattern has been showing up and has actually been affecting your sales on a different level, right? So if you are in a service-based, like transformational field, and somebody's saying later or is latering you or is saying like, oh, not now, and procrastinating constantly, this is where you can also state your boundaries as to what you expect with what kind of clients you wish to work with. Because remember, even if you are a service-based, like a done-for-you entrepreneur who does like copywriting or who does like accounting or website designing or whatever, those clients are going to be a pain in the ass for you. Those clients are going to be a pain, okay? So please keep that in mind. This is an opportunity for you to take a look at where are you delaying your own decisions, and also allow the prospect to come to their own evolution depending on what kind of industry you are in. These kinds of comebacks can help you open up a door and can help you open up a conversation to see if this prospect is somebody who's even going to be right for your product or service, to see if it's somebody that you even want to work with. And if it is, then it's an opportunity for you to help them evolve their business in their life in a whole deeper of a way. Does anybody have any questions on the later? How is this landing with all of you? Give me some likes or hearts or comments. Let me know how this landed with you, because the next one I am going to is the money objection. No, I'm going to go to the husband and the wife objection first, and then I'll go to the money. The reason being is because a lot of times the money objection that people have is not usually necessarily the money. As somebody who sells high-ticket offers, as a service-based entrepreneur that does coaching, consulting, intuitive, and psychic energy work, it has been easier for me actually to sell higher ticket offers than lower ticket offers, and it had nothing to do necessarily with money. The only objection that should be coming up is like, yes, and let me go ahead and get the money, because this shows the propensity of a person that you are dealing with, but we'll cover that in just a minute. Does anybody have any questions? How many of you have received the "I don't have time" or "I'll do it later" objection on your call? And if you want me to clarify it in your specific industry about how you can address it, I'm happy to. So please feel free to comment below. Or if nobody has any questions, say no more questions, so I could go on to the next objection. Or if you're not understanding something, like I said, please feel free by all means to ask. Hello, Saira. Hello, Michelle. So, okay. The husband and the wife objection. I need to ask my wife. I need to ask my partner. I need to ask my husband about this before I make the decision. How many of you have gotten this objection either on your sales call, on your sales meeting, or in messenger conversation from your offer? This one is a little tricky because it's a fine line where unless you're doing relationship coaching or unless you are in the field of some sort of relational transformation, it can be really easy to step on people's toes, especially around their relationships. People are really sensitive around that topic and would rather not have you know, and be like, you know what, get the hell out of my business. Why are you, getting in my space? Those of you that work, with individuals holistically understand just how much toxicity in their relationships can affect their businesses. So this is a really touchy one, especially if you're a coach, a healer, or work in some sort of a transformational field. It's yet another opportunity for you to take a look at where you can help empower your prospect to make better choices within their relationship now, such as stating better boundaries or having clearer communication, or potentially leave if they're in a bad situation. However, if the individual has a healthy relationship and it's just their relationship rules where they, share about the money that's being spent in the family, if the individuals are in business together and are in partnership, then it's a different story, right? The biggest thing here is you want to bring your prospect to an empowered state, because if they're going to go and ask their husband or wife in fear, then their husband or wife is only going to affirm that fear. They're not actually going to go ahead and help you close or help them potentially evolve their life, business, health, whatever it is that you're selling that could help their life, right? So having said that, it's important for you to evaluate, where does this prospect currently stand, right? So by that, what I mean is like, what is it that you want to talk to him about specifically? Or what is it that you want to talk to her about specifically? What is it that they are going to provide for you? Is it the money for this investment into your business, into your health? Is it the money to buy this supplement, to buy this coaching package, to buy this course, right? What is the husband or the wife providing? If it's comfort to keep the individual in a state of fear, then whenever they go be like, oh, baby, hi, so I just talked to this amazing coach, to this amazing rep for a company that can really help us improve our health, but I'm fearful about it. what do you think their husband or wife is going to say? Depending on their relationship, they're like, oh, honey, you're fine just the way you are, right? Unless their relationship is based on where both individuals respect each other's growth. So you want to make sure that before the prospect goes off and actually asks their husband or wife, because you don't want to be disrespectful if this is a rule that they have, but you want to make sure that they're not just enabling their poor habits or fears. Like, this is going to sound kind of a crass example, but if an individual is like addicted to something, if an individual has an addiction and so is their partner, if they're going to go ahead and ask their partner about a recovery program, their partner is probably not going to necessarily encourage that, right? They're just going to keep on enabling where they are at right now. So if you are selling a product or a service that is going to help them evolve their business, or evolve their life, or evolve their health, or evolve their relationship, this is an opportunity for you to yet again coach your prospect into an empowered stance before they go ahead and ask. I don't feel like there's anything wrong in talking to your partner about your business decisions, but at the same time, I feel that as somebody who works quite intimately with individuals, because I do business coaching, but I also do it from a highly intuitive approach where I take a look at all of the aspects that can potentially affect somebody's energy, which affects your sales, confidence, magnetism, etc., and your marketing. If their relationship is something that's damaging to their energy, to their magnetism, to their confidence, this is an opportunity for me to evaluate how they're going to handle that. In what state are they coming from whenever they go and ask their husband? Does anybody have any questions? I want to hear if you guys have ever heard this objection and what industry you're in. I want to hear how has this objection presented itself to you, either this one or the time or the later one. Please feel free to go ahead and comment below. I want to be able to frame the response specifically for your service that you're selling, or for your product that you're selling, because it could be for both. Okay, so yet again, you can go ahead and ask, what is it that you'd like to consult them about? If your husband or your wife was given an opportunity that they didn't have time to talk over with you to really jumpstart their health, relationship, financial well-being, would you support them? Do you feel like they would support you back if you were to do that? This one, like I said, this one is touchy and sensitive, so make sure that you trust your own intuition and make sure that you don't keep people in their comfort zones, because we're all about evolving each other here. Through all of our products and services, it is my core belief that most women in this group are here to actually, help evolve their own life and other people's lives, and the reason why we have become entrepreneurs is because we have a heartfelt passion in our hearts. So the other one, it comes down to self-trust. Do you trust yourself to make the decision that you feel you need for yourself? Because if it is an issue of trust, then it opens up a whole other rabbit hole for you to take a look at with this prospect, especially if you're doing intuitive or transformative work, or if you're doing coaching. If you are doing any kind of done for you, please keep in mind that depending on the dynamic that this individual has with their partner might be constantly in your face about it if you're on a retainer with this client. Even for a done for you package, they might constantly be a presence. I've had this happen personally with one of my clients. Unfortunately, their partner was not allowing them to move past a certain point in business, and it has gotten to be to where I no longer want to go there, because I'm not a relationship professional, nor do I ever coach on that, but it's something that if I see there's a discordance there, as I suggest that a client takes a look at it. So there is a way to go about it in a highly ethical and in integrity type of a stance. Does anybody have any questions so far about either the later objection or the ask your husband objection? Or your wife, for that matter, or your partner, whatever they define themselves to be. Business partner, friend, whatever. I have another objection that's all about asking the spirit guides, which I'm going to get to in just a second. It's a fun one, because I communicate with spirit guides and I communicate to other people's spirit guides, but it's always funny to me whenever this gets brought up. Does anybody have any questions? Is this making sense to you? As I mentioned, what does this have to do with you as the seller? Where are you choosing to consult others outside of yourself? And where are you currently not trusting your own decisions? This is kind of the wizard way of handling sales objections, because if you're coming up with the same objection over and over and over and over again, it's an opportunity to not necessarily take a look at your prospect and marketing. It's an opportunity to take a look at you. And that's something I stand by in all of my programs. And as I said, I go into great depth in my mini course called OfferLab that I put up in the comments or into the description. And it's $150. It goes through these objections one by one. It goes through offer creation. It goes through mindset around selling your high ticket offers. It goes through a lot, and I'll cover that here in just a bit. The money objection. How many of you, is this the most common one that all of you are waiting for? How many of you get the money objection all the time? I'm wondering if I'm not seeing the comments or if you guys are just not commenting. I'm going to pop on my laptop real quick. Because sometimes I have not been able to see people's comments for whatever reason. I just want to know to make sure that I'm not missing any of your guys' questions. The money objection, I know you all are waiting patiently. I just want to make sure that none of you have any questions before I jump into the money objection, because it's the most common one, and you're like, how the hell do I handle this one? Everybody has freaking money problems right now, and nobody wants to pay for my stuff, and blah, 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 blah. And, ugh. All right. So... okay. Yes, money. Okay, now I'm seeing the comments. Oh my God, you all have been commenting and I haven't seen your comments. I'm so glad that I hopped on my laptop. Oh Jesus, to make sure that I see your comments. Yes to money. You guys are saying money is one of the most common ones. Hello from Colorado. Health coaching. Boundaries are a great point. Cynthia, let me answer. Cynthia, what if it's not the right time? This is a little bit of a loaded one, because you can unpack that. Like, what does right time mean for somebody? Like, is it because they're about to go into surgery or about to have a baby? That's like one thing. If it's the right time because they're checking in with their spirit guides and some sort of alignment that's outside of themselves, then that's a whole other sales objection that that we need to go over and take a look at deeper. I hope that makes sense. Can you clarify as to what that means? Maria says her problem is public speaking. Maria, you got to get on live streams. Get on live streams, especially here within this group. If you are not a standout member, I really appreciate Christina Rowe for letting us do this. It's a program that she hosts to allow featured entrepreneurs that will really help you break the spell of going live. So, okay, I think I got the questions. Hello from Colorado. Yes. Oh yeah, that's me. Hi, Saira. Okay, cool. So, Cynthia, if you could clarify what that means, I can go ahead and help you with that. So money, what's going on with the money objection? Like, what the hell? Why are people always coming back to money? People have a really interesting relationship with money. Those of us who are entrepreneurs have grown to trust ourselves so much, and to just trust ourselves to put one foot in front of the other, to know that money will show up. The other thing that happens in the world of entrepreneurship is that we start to establish this kind of relationship with money where we see it as energy, where we see it as an equal exchange, that most of the world who are not business owners, unfortunately, still are in a space of fear, in a space of lack of creativity and lack of abundant mindset about what money actually is and how it actually ends up finding its way to you. Most people have a perception of some sort of a financial hardship, whether or not it is true, because it is such a deeply ingrained societal trauma and drama that we experience. Why don't I see them on my phone? There we go. Okay, now I see them on my phone. Perfect. Most people have such a deep trauma about money because of either their parents, because of their ancestors, because of how the world has been run up until now. Because we have relied on something else outside of ourselves to create money for ourselves. As we become entrepreneurs, we start to develop a completely different relationship with money. So the biggest thing here is having compassion for the individuals who have not yet developed this kind of trusting relationship. And it is a wormhole that most of us have to go through. It is something that's kind of not necessarily trial by fire, but those of you that are and have been entrepreneurs for a while, you know that your relationship with money changes, that somehow, some way your bills always get paid, that you can trust yourself more and more the more that you are in the game. And the more that you invest and make decisions, the more you channel this energy into where you want it to go. And the more you invest and say like, okay, I'm investing this into my business, everything else just is going to have to work. So how do you go ahead and help another individual through this whenever you are on a sales call, right? So this is the most common one for an individual that has not yet established this relationship with money is when you have committed yourself to doing something, have you always found that things just work out financially? And most of you, those of you that are on here right now, probably can attest to this and agree to this. This is coming more from a service-based entrepreneurship, especially those of you that are helping people develop their health businesses or relationships. If you are selling a product, especially a product that can benefit somebody's health, you can definitely start asking questions about outweighing the benefits of health versus sickness, right? Of saying like, how much do you feel like it's going to cost you if you continue having this health issue? And I don't mean just financially, but how much do you think it's going to cost you in, say, their back hurts and they can't play with their baby once their baby grows up and they can't play ball with their son or whatever? How much do you think that's going to cost you, right? It's going to cost you emotional hardship, whatever. And just go down this rabbit hole with them of if this was to solve your health problem today, how much time can you buy back? How much happiness can you buy back, right? If a person has like a really pressing issue, a lot of times for the health part, it won't matter. So one of the other things that you can do here to be sensitive is to be with them with their fear of like, tell me what's coming up here. Because a lot of times a money objection is not just like, oh God, I don't have it. Because most people have the opportunity and ways to find it. Most people are pretty resourceful. I mean, think of all of you that are in this group that I'm sure have invested into your businesses time and time again. And you're like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay this next bill, but I'm paying for this coach. I'm paying for this website. I'm paying for that outfit. I'm paying for my baby's food, right? Like I'm doing it. It's just going to have to work out because I said so. So you can start to tell stories of how you have made it through a financial hardship. But whenever you stay with the prospect at that point of tension and really get to the bottom of this, it usually ends up being that it's a different objection. It usually ends up being like, well, I don't know if this is actually going to work for me. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with the money to pay my bills. So then the objection is not so much the money, but will this work for me? And if so, then you have a whole other slew of either proof or social proof or other ways that you can navigate that when it comes to, you know, their own belief about themselves and their own self-trust of making it work no matter what, right? So usually if you stay with them at that point of tension and be like, can you tell me more about this money fear? Do you genuinely don't have it right now? Are you genuinely, you know, in a crap load of debt, which a lot of people are, and that's fine? Do you feel that if you keep staying in this cycle right now and not do anything about it, what's going to happen then? Do you feel like you're going to spend more time, money, more health issues, whatever, by staying in this job, by staying in this lack of an organizational business without hiring somebody to help you, by staying in the inability to attract your clients that you want by not hiring a copywriter, by staying in this traumatic loop that's not allowing you to sleep, by staying in this traumatic loop that's causing you and your husband to fight all the time, by staying in the space that is going to continue have you mess up your gut health based on what you're eating, right? If you're a health coach or something like that. So this is where you can go down the rabbit hole with the prospect of outweighing the cost and benefit, but asking guiding questions of what will happen if you continue to stay here. What will happen, if you continue to stay in it? How much more will you lose that's not financial, right? So is it necessarily a money thing, or is it your inability to receive an ROI? Okay, so I'm going to address another thing real quick here. Is this making sense to all of you, by the way? I'm going to address another quick thing when it comes to receiving an ROI. Those of you who are not directly marketing a financial return on investment of your product or service, there's always a way that you can tie it to one. There's always a way that you can tie it to a hard outcome, no matter what product or service you're selling, right? There's always a way that if you are a life coach, you can tie it to a financial outcome, because if an individual is in the throes of depression or whatever and is navigating a tough life situation, by getting out of it, the opportunities are going to open for them. They're going to start meeting more people. They're going to start becoming more confident. Their marketing is going to improve. Their relationships are going to improve. They're going to be public speaking. More doors are going to open for them. Next thing you know, they might land a new job, whatever, right? And how important, this is another one, is not to like strike them where it hurts, but how important is this vision for you, right? Are you willing to get creative? How creative are you willing to get? So those of you who are in the transformational fields, this is yet another opportunity to evaluate if this is a prospect that you desire, because those of you who are coaches, healers, etc., it is not our job necessarily to coddle our clients. It is our job to empower and help them evolve to their next level. And sometimes the only way that they can do that is by showing them their own strength. Like if you are a fitness coach, like you can't do that last 20 squats for your person, right? And perhaps this is exactly what they need in their life to show them that they can come up with the investment of whatever it is that you're offering, and show them that they could pay their bills time and time again afterwards, right? So usually a money objection is a lot more loaded. So this is an opportunity for you to take a look at, is it something else? What else is it tied to? How much more are they willing to stay in this place of shitty? What's it going to cost them if they don't go ahead and buy this product or service that's going to help solve their problem? How much more like non-financial things they're going to lose? And if a prospect is just like, no, fuck that, then perhaps it's just not your prospect, right? You as a business owner, you want to work with individuals who are forward thinking. You want to work with individuals who are self-trusting, who just because they're in a hardship right now, that if they're just like, oh yeah, I have debt and I've invested so much and like, fuck that, I'm just gonna know. Then you're like, okay, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So this one, there's ways to walk around it, and there's ways to get to the bottom of the fear of it. But if an individual is honestly just not willing to change, and if they're just so stuck in fear, and if they're just so stuck in investments that haven't worked or products that they're like jaded from or whatever, then that's on them. No matter what you're going to say, they're going to be a client and a prospect who's arguing for their limitations instead of what they're capable of doing as a powerful, amazing entrepreneurial woman or man. Right? I'm going to answer one question real quick. Many of the clients says that they are really interested, but for one reason or the other, the timing isn't right to commit to the program. So yet again, if for one reason or another, right? This is an opportunity to be like, what is the timing here? If they're interested and if the timing isn't right, like what does that mean for them? And I'm going to go over that in this asking for spirit guides advice. Actually, I'm running out of time here. Oh man, I want to cover like one more objection. I'll take your guys' vote of which one to cover. So I have the money, which I just covered. And as I said, with every objection is an opportunity for you to take a look at as to where you are like faltering with these relationships, right? With later in time, with asking for others' guidance, or with what is your current relationship with money? Are you currently in survival stance? Are you relying on your clients to save you? Do you have, a backup plan? Do you have that trust within yourself that if one client says no, or if one prospect says no, that no matter what, somehow, some way, like, that your bills are going to still be paid, right? And that unfuckability with money comes from your own personal development and self-trust. So that's a really amazing thing to take a look at if you're constantly getting the money objection. Like, does it feel tight for you? So, okay, the other three that I have is, I'm not sure if this will work for me. I'm working with another person, or I'm choosing to work with somebody else on whatever the prospect, product or service or product is. And the other one is, I need to check with my spirit guides. I probably only have time for one more to cover it really quickly. So I'm going to take your guys' vote on this as to which one you want to hear. So I need to check with my spirit guides. I'm working with another person, or I'm choosing to work with somebody else. And I'm unsure if this is actually going to work for me. Which, that one is really simple. Like, if they're not sure it's going to work for them, then you can outsource, etc. But I have some more in-depth things to say about it. Cynthia says, I'm not sure if this will work for me. Lori says C. Makita says spirit guides. Lori, do you mean I'm not sure this is going to work for me? Lori says A, which is, let's see. What did I say? Spirit guides, spirit guides. So not sure if this is going to work for me. Not sure if this is going to work for me. And spirit guide. So I'm kind of in a toss-up between the two. Let's see if I could combine them. Let's see if I could combine them for you guys. So a quick thing about divinity and your connection with source. Each individual has a different connection with their source, right? This is going to be kind of tied together with, I need to check with my spirit guides, and not sure if this is going to work for me. I'm going to see if I could combine them too. Each individual has their own connection with divinity, and this is a sensitive topic for people, because for some people is, I need to go contact Jesus, and for other people is, I need to go talk to my angels. Other people, I need to go talk to my ancestors. This is a part where you can be like, is this actually a spirit guide objection, or is it money, time, or fear, or other avoidance pattern? A lot of people within the spiritual space utilize their spirituality and their spiritual connection as yet another form of escapism, of putting something and their trust outside of themselves, right? So they're like, I don't know what to do. Okay, spirit, instead of knowing that they are indeed the creator, that their spirit guides actually work for them, not the other way around, right? Because whenever you decide something, your spirit guides are like, yes, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and align that for you. There you go. Right? So this is a little bit of a sensitive one, but it comes down to, just so you understand the psychology behind it, it comes down to, yet again, a person just choosing to eject their power outside of themselves onto something else. And it yet again comes down to self-trust, right? So the thing about these individuals, to keep in mind, is a lot of people who want to check with their spirit guides are really not necessarily comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't want to generalize it that much, but one of the things that I have noticed is a lot of people who give that objection, they want to be baby, they want to feel safe. They want to make sure, like, oh, this is the right thing, because here's the thing, if they go and ask their spirit guides, and their spirit guide says like, fuck yes, and then you put them through hell or through some sort of a transformative experience as a coach, as a mentor, as a healer, then they'll be like, oh, my spirit guides were wrong and you suck as a coach and what the hell, right? So this is yet another opportunity for you to check in with them, be like, where are you ejecting the power outside of yourself here? Where are you, like, what kind of things do you feel like they'll say to you? Are you looking for this kind of like divine, creative, golden poop of a download that's just gonna be like, yeah, hallelujah? And as we all know, as amazing, creative, intuitive women in business, Nothing works and nothing happens until you do. Our co-creative divinity for creating these businesses is a dance with the universe, where we must take that first step with our intent, with our will, and with our action. So if an individual if you're finding yourself with an individual who's wanting to check in with their spirit guides, then you may want to go back to the time objection, because they're like, oh, this is uncomfortable, I need to think about it. And they use the excuse of escapism to go check with their spirit guides. You may want to address it in the same way as you would the husband or wife objection, because either way they go consult them about it. You can address it in the same way, being like, do you trust yourself to make the decisions? Is there any decision that you feel that you have ever made that your spirit guides will tell you was like wrong? Because that doesn't exist in the spirit world. Like there's nothing that you can do that's wrong. As a matter of fact, like spirit guides don't necessarily understand money or business. They're kind of like, huh, what? I don't get that. And they don't understand your body, right? So like they're already dead. They already had their run. So one of the things to keep in mind here with a prospect who is wanting to say that this prospect has potential trust issues within themselves and is always looking for answers outside of themselves, keep in mind they're going to be the same way as a client, where you're constantly going to have to bring them back to themselves. So it's an opportunity for you to either empower them and coach them of where their self-trust is, or to ask, is this actually a spirit guide thing, or is it like a money thing, or is it you asking something or someone else for guidance? It's one thing to be intuitively guided, and this is something too that you can check in with them and be like, what does your intuition say right now? And if they're like, it's a no, cool, amazing, that's an empowered no. Like that's an empowered thing. You can respect their intuition and celebrate it and be like, congratulations, you made a decision, you can trust yourself, that's fucking awesome, right? Or if they're like, I feel like it's a yes, but then you have an opportunity to be like, is it a time thing? Are you wanting to escape because you're afraid of the money and not being able to make the money back? And then you go back to coaching them through the other objection. So when it comes down to, will this work for me? It's actually a similar flavor of an objection, because where do results come from for people, right? So one of the ways that you can approach this one is ask them, where do you feel results come from? Do you feel like you are accountable for the things that happen or do not happen in your life? How much of this is you not being able to trust yourself to actually make this work for yourself? Because if so, that's something I'm willing to work with you on if you're a coach, is to bring them to that empowered sense of self-trust. And the other one is, have you given up yet? It's unusual for people to end up on sales calls. So if they're sitting there talking to you, even considering their program or your service or your products, then there's something within them that's still going, right? So here's an opportunity for you to speak to their desire and be like, have you trusted yourself to make it this far? Have you given up on your vision yet? And this one is also interesting. You could approach both the spirit guides one and this one. If you were to wave a magic wand on naming of their challenge, whether it be money, time, relation, whatever, marketing, blah, blah, sales, whatever they think it is, because it's deeper. Do you feel like you would achieve your goals? And then they'll be like, yeah. And if you solve this said issue, then you'll be like, then the conversation doesn't need to go any further. Is it something else? Is it something else within you? If so, let's go there, right? Is this making sense for those of you that are watching? The spirit guides, another couple of questions just to kind of give you is, have you found yourself living not according to your own rules? Do you feel like you are being taken for a ride? And do you believe that you are indeed a creative force that can do anything you want with your life? always make sure that whenever you approach the spirit guide question or the will this work for me question, is you ask guiding questions to put it back onto the client, because it's not your responsibility, even if you're selling a product or if you're selling even like a done for you service, such as like massage therapy. Let's just use such a weird example. If they are sitting there tense in bed, even you giving them a massage is not going to work, right? There's got to be a give on their end, even if it's a done for you service. Like say you working on their website. I'm not sure it's going to work for me. Of me working on your website, well then we have to have a different conversation here. What's going on here as far as what? Is it my style of working on a website? What is it? If you are indeed in the transformational service or field, make sure that you ask a guiding question that gets to the root of this in a positive way that empowers the prospect. It always comes back to self-trust, you guys. It always does whenever it comes to sales calls. And keep in mind, as I mentioned, every objection is an opportunity for you to take a look at where you're not vibing with your own life or business or your own offer. So if you're getting the spirit guide objection a lot, then are you hiding from growth and are not willing to go through with something because what if it's not easy? Because things are supposed to be easy all the time, right? According to spirit guides or most people that I have found. Personally, it might not be for everybody. Have you found yourself that you've been stifling yourself from that shaky moment of like having to hold it, kind of like when you're holding a plank pose in yoga and you're starting to shake and you're like, oh God. Have you found yourself resisting that? Like you don't stop doing sit-ups or squats because it's not in ease, right? So that's a place for you to take a look at. As far as, will this work for me? This is more of an offer problem. If the client doesn't see how your process will take them to their desired solution, this is an opportunity, yet again, to guide them to their self-trust, but also this is an opportunity for you to take a look at how confident are you in delivering what you're delivering, because clients can feel that. And if there's something that you're delivering that feels like, oh yeah, I don't know, but I'm in the sales call and I just want to get the sale, then it's probably time to go back to the drawing board for you to see, do you trust yourself? Do you feel like this is going to work for the client if you were to give their best and they were to give their best? If that's a yes for you, great. If it's not, then it's an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and take a look at your offer and how it needs to be tweaked. Where are you second guessing yourself as well? So on that note, I hope you all enjoyed this objection training. We covered 5 out of 6. I go into a lot more detail in my mini course that I put up in the description called OfferLab. I just did a free 5-day training actually about creating high ticket offers, but now I made it into a course because I gave away all of the information that I give to my one-on-one clients, the exact offer creation process that I take them through, what needs to be in a high ticket offer, how to go ahead and market research your prospect in a way that it's not an ICA, in a way that you don't have to come up with an elevator speech and find out the clarity on what it is that you do and for who. I don't do that, and you don't need to, in order to sell high ticket offers. About the 6 main mindset shifts that you need to get over in order to, and how to help you get over them in order to sell high ticket offers. And then I go on a 2-day sales training. The course itself is 8 hours long. It is $149. It is a no-brainer. It is a steal. It is packaged up beautifully for you. And the link is up in the comments or in the description. And if you have enjoyed this kind of an approach to your business, I am doing a group program where I help you with your intuitive creativity, where I don't teach you strategy. But if you have suffered from lack of sales and lots of objections and not clarity on your offer, and you have been taught strategy after strategy after strategy, and then you went to the intuitive sector to try and find out what your life's purpose is and what you should be doing on the planet, etc. Or if you're a service-based entrepreneur that has been trying to package up their offer in such an amazing way, but it's just still not jiving with you, I specialize in offer creation in a highly intuitive way, and I've created a group program that's a little bit of a hybrid where I teach master classes like this, and everybody's going to get one-on-one time to have my intuitive insights specifically on your offer on how you market, on how you sell, and reverse engineer that for you. So a lot of people have come to me when no other mentor has been able to crack the code for them. And the reason being why my methods have finally worked for them is because I combine a holographic kind of intuitive approach mixed with the strategic approach, as you have noticed in this training. I give you the perspective of you and the prospect in the mirrored way. I let you know what you need to take a look at internally and give you the action steps and the strategies. And that's how I do all of the things within the sales, within the marketing. And I make sure that every single approach that I give to every single one of my clients is highly customized. I also put in my call link because I do custom approaches and custom one-on-one programs for individuals to make sure that I only give you what you need and nothing more, nothing less. So if this is something that interests you, and if you have enjoyed this training, if you're curious to learn more about my world, you are also welcome to join my free group called the Sales Wizardry. I'm going to put it in the comments. I do lots of free trainings there. I come on here live, usually on Fridays at this time. So I'll probably be here next week giving you another Sales Wizard training, depending on what it is. Let me know if you have any questions if you're watching the replay. I hope that you enjoyed this training. If a question comes to you later afterwards about how to rephrase or frame objection bending responses, then I'm happy to answer those for you as well. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. I highly enjoyed this, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.